All right, well, thank you guys all for coming. This is something that I've worked on for a long time, and first time that I'm really publicly talking about it. We're not going to get really technical on some of this stuff, on a lot of this stuff. I mean, you could analyze TCP dumps and packets and binaries forever. I mean, we could spend hours and hours and days going over the behaviors and the mindsets and all the different issues that happen with botnets. So we're just going to talk about the particular projects that we've experienced and have a lot of time with working with, and we're going to show some examples of some botnets and how they can be dealt with and what's worked and what doesn't work. And just like we all know, if you put something out on the internet, eventually it'll happen. So please excuse the long title, and I figured the long cat would fit with the long title, so that's what that's all about. So I'm the rodent. I'm from Las Vegas, and that's my logo. I chew on cables and do stuff like that. But I host irc.2600.net and public shell servers, and I help out wherever I can. So and then here's the beef.
Yeah, I help Mr. Rodent here with 2600.net. I run one of the nodes there. I'm also a big OpenVMS fan. How many people run OpenVMS or even heard of it? Wow, okay. I run the Death Row cluster, which allows, all three, even more than I thought. That allows people to get accounts and whatnot on. It's completely free. I'm also big into VoIP. Written a couple of books for a company called Singress, who's been awesome. And I write code and actually still play with X25 networks. I'd be interested to see if you have any X25 network stories. Being here in Germany and whatnot, I'd like to hear them. But anyways, that's me.
We have an affinity for antiquated network technology
yes, evidently.
And equipment and good. Okay, so we all know what a botnet is. We all know what a DDoS is, so we don't need to get too specific in that. But how does botnets and DDoS relate to online communities? And basically it boils down to this has just been my experience in the many years is you put something online, eventually you're going to come across it. You'll get all of it, whether it's flooders, phishers, trolls, DDoS, you will eventually get it. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you haven't, you've been really lucky. Or you haven't noticed it because you don't have the right tools in place to see it. So, and that's what a lot of it is, just being able to observe what's going on in your network, what's happening out in the world. So, so what can you do? Pretty much boils down to like three things. You can defend yourself, just hunker down in the bunker and just roll with it and try to keep your services up. You can report it and take the information or the intel to the appropriate people or to researchers and stuff like that. And then, you can be Bob the hacker and be proactive and actually do something about it. So I personally feel that no matter what, every little bit helps. I feel that botnets and, let's just say botnets are the worst thing on the internet. I mean, it's the only thing that no matter what, it's always just going to do something bad, and it's the only thing that really hurts it pretty often. So I do want to ask, and I've been pondering this for a long time, and for many years now, actually. Could anyone, tell me one good thing that botnets do for technology or the networks, or one? Okay, but that's still, you're still borrowing services, bandwidth, electricity, CPU time. So is that good? I mean,
have you seen any botnets where they're strictly loading SETI clients, or?
I would say that SETI at home and protein folding at home are botnets.
Okay, now I'm thinking of but in that case, people willingly are becoming a part of that network, right?
That's composed of unwilling.
Okay. then unwilling.
Well, generally,
unwilling participants of a botnet.
So I mean, our definition of it, I have yet to find anything beneficial, except from like my perspective of being able to research it and learn more about it. I love learning and experiencing new technologies and new viewpoints. So that's why I ask. I love to talk with people, even if you are doing this. I really don't care. If you're black hat, white hat, gray hat, I don't care. It's none of my business.
And we've actually talked about that. As you kind of pointed out, the SETI idea of like, wouldn't it be neat if some of these guys were doing that, like, SETI and stuff like that, they were infecting machines, and at least, that would be like at least something kind of useful.
At least it would be an attempt of trying to do something good. And believe I run SETI. I'm in the top 2%. I know. Like, I wish I had the poor ethics or morals to just do that. But I mean, obviously my account will get fried. But
just install SETI on Storm.
Install SETI on Storm. There you go. Okay, so no one can tell me anything beneficial from botnets? Yeah.
Botnets forcing people to update their clients, otherwise they would.
He said,
Oh, it's the Robin Hood effect.
he said it
It's
forces people to update their clients. So
Botnets could be created.
in theory, I agree with that, but a lot of times I've seen, well, Bob the hacker has seen where botnets, they are just because they're unupdated machines and they'll never be updated. So it never forces them to do it because either they don't know that they're a zombie or that they're infected, or they don't know how to do it, or they're not running a legit operating system, so they can't get the updates. So
Many people started upgrading after these forms which run UDP packet buffs the whole connection. So after that, people started to use update and everything.
I think that it's possible that some people might be like, oh crap, I got a virus, I need to do something about it. But I think that would be very minimal. So I don't think that there's any benefit, like I'm going to run a botnet to force all these people to do their Windows updates. It doesn't happen. I mean,
they have other motives.
and we'll show you later. There's some things that Bob the hacker has done where he tried to figure out if you could get this botnet to run the Windows update and fix itself. But yeah, that's a little different. Well,
That actually happens a lot too. Where they break in, they compromise the machine, fix the hole, just so that they can keep control of it.
yeah. And I've seen that. There's differences between the actual like professional bot herders and then like the kiddies. The kiddies, they'll just hit and run anything they can. They don't really try to secure it up. The professional guys, the more serious guys, it's their bread and butter. They'll secure up the botnet. They'll exploit and they'll build it up and then they'll lock it down so it's very hard to get into it and do anything about it. So all right, thanks for your feedback, and please, I'm open to any opinions on this. So we all know what online communities are, right? I hope so. So these are some of the online communities that we've been involved in, that I've been involved in from the early days. Uh-oh. Did I break it? There we go. Okay. So like BBSs, I started, I'm not too young, but not too old, but I've been doing BBSs since I was a little kid. That was like the start of online communities, Usenet, that was a big deal for a while. Hosted a lot of game servers, ton of websites, forums. I mean, we all know what online communities are. So these are the ones that we've been directly involved in and had a lot of experience in defending and maintaining and stuff. So one thing that it comes down to, and I've learned this through the years, is that it just takes the right amount of resources in the right departments. So a lot of people, they want to host it themselves, and I'm all about that mentality. They want to do their own DNS, they want to do their own server in their basement and run it off their cable line, and I don't recommend that. But some people don't even consider the hardware and the math. Like, I got this firewall, I know it's 100 megabit, but how many packets per second can it take? How many rules can I load it up with? There's all sorts of stuff that you need to actually quantify, including simple stuff like the physical stuff, like heat requirements. Some guys, they load up a bunch of servers in a rack, and they never did the math to figure out, like, when the summer comes, all my stuff's going to start popping, and they didn't consider it. So people need to consider stuff like that when they want to host it and do an online community project for themselves. And it's just a matter of like simple stuff, doing the math, knowing your configuration, knowing your limitations, your bandwidth, packets per second, memory. You have to do the math on that. So if you want to host 100,000 people, you have to know what you need to really host all those people. Some people just don't think of this. So we could get into firewalls, all day long and talk about the ways to manipulate, manage, which ones to use. And so, but it's important, if you're going to host it yourself, not outsource it or pay someone else to do it, you need to really know your features. So choose your vendors well, choose your hardware well, and do the research so that you have that information. Because otherwise, as traffic increases, your community gets bigger, and then, all of a sudden I'm getting DOS because some guy was talking smack. It's like, sometimes it can happen like that. And then you realize, taking gigs of traffic, and I didn't know I could not take that.
Right.
Some people don't consider that. So same thing with software. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of software packages for all the different services that you can make available out there, and you have to put some forethought into that. And I've seen this happen